to our second video in our For Love of Homemade Kits series. Today, out of my kit, I'm going to tackle this specialty wood veneer paper from My Mind's Eye and my embossing folders. So I have never used this wood veneer paper. I didn't even know what it was really. When I bought it, I thought it was just pattern paper. So you're going to see me kind of struggle and trying to figure out how to use it. Note to self, Fisker's trimmer doesn't cut wood at all. Okay, so that didn't work. So I cut a hunk of it with my scissors, and it kind of worked, except that this wood veneer paper is actually almost like a really thin sheet of, I don't know, maybe like plywood. So it was kind of breaking while I was trying to use it, and I thought, well, it's really thin, and even though my trimmer didn't cut it, my scissors did, so let me see if maybe I can emboss it, because that would be cool. And so I put it through my embossing machine, and it, went through my embossing machine just fine, and I opened it up, and nothing, not even an imprint. So, okay, next up, we're going to try to punch it, and this was the hardest thing I've ever punched in my life, but it got punched. So I have this one piece, and I'm kind of just like, okay, I'm just using this, I'm going with this, I'm going to cut it in half and make some photo mats out of it, and move on. So I guess it's kind of a good thing that maybe My Mind's Eye doesn't make this wood veneer paper stuff anymore, because I don't even know what to do with the rest of it. And the back of it is a little, like, splintery, so we'll have to see. I might try some of my punches on it in future layouts with this homemade kit, but I really think whatever's left of it after I finish my last two layouts is just going to go in the garbage. It did make a really nice mat, and it did punch okay, so maybe we'll do something with that in future layouts. We'll see. But I don't know about that. So I also wanted to use my embossing folders out of my kit this time. So I went ahead and I just grabbed 3 pieces of neutral paper and embossed them with my music embossing folder, and now I'm going to take some texture paste and I'm going to run it over to give it a whitewashed look. Something different just to pull that embossing so you can see it a little bit better. I chose dark brown, black, and cream because I'm going to do a very kind of neutral layout today. I'm doing something that has just lots of neutrals and a little bit of mint, and that's it for color. And I went ahead and put some of that texture paste on my wood veneer paper, whereupon you can actually watch it in the video, like curl up, which is so funny to me. So I left it in. So these are the supplies for my kit I'm going to use. I'm going to use all neutrals and black and white with just little pops of the green. And I thought about using this paper and cutting out some of the triangles, but it doesn't work. So this layout, for me, I kept it super simple. I used a layout design that I love. I use it as often as I can without using it every time I do a layout because it's just one of my favorites. So I'm starting by grabbing these photos. These are black and white photos, and I'm just going to mat them with that piece of wood veneer paper and also with my embossed pages. So if my voice sounds craggy this morning, I'm really sorry. I woke up with a horrible, horrible sore throat. I think I'm getting another cold. Great, wonderful. So just, you'll have to kind of ignore me and just apologize for like the little sniffling and the craggy voice. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my T-square ruler, and I'm using it to set guidelines. So I used it to make my photos plumb, and then I'm going to use the photos as guides so that all of my embellishments and all of my layers and different things are going to be right there down the middle of my page. So when I do a layout like this, I always start with my photos. I place my photos, I center them on the layout, I use my T-square ruler to make sure they're good and centered. Then I do my title, and then I go ahead and work with my journaling. So my journaling is going to be on white paper, and you saw me just mark off where it's going to underline the photo. And I decided to do my journaling in white with a white pen, not white paper, on this die cut piece because I didn't want the stark black. There will be little pops of black in this layout, but I really didn't want that journaling. I knew that I had a lot of journaling, and I didn't want quite that much of a hit of black on my layout. So I used my white Jelly Roll pen. I actually have 2 white pens that I really like, but that was the one that seemed to be working the best today. So I'm going to fit my journaling in. So now I have my photos, I have my title, and I have my journaling. And now comes the fun part. So when I do a layout like this, I, of course, as you saw, use my T-scale ruler, get my pictures where I want, and then I add my title and my journaling, and then I kind of look at this layout like a puzzle, and I'm just filling in the gaps now with little details. So strips of paper, I'm going to use one of those tags and some of the die cuts from my big ephemera pack that I created, some flare buttons, some badges, or some buttons, some flares, and some buttons, and some strips of paper, and I really just fit them in. So some of them I'm going to glue down right away. Some things I'm going to glue down right away. Some things I'm going to just kind of like place around here. And I really love a layout like this where, okay, all of my important things are there. They're where I want them. And now I can just have a good play and some fun and decide where I want different things to go. So I'm trying to decide between this black and white tag or this a mint color one. And I decided on the mint one because, again, I didn't want such a big thing in my layout to be black. I'm using this little die cut piece from my ephemera pack and it says, "You make me smile." And then you'll see me here just kind of place little bits and pieces and details in all of these kind of open spaces. So I find it kind of ironic. This paper I'm cutting right now, this craft color paper, was actually the starting point for this layout. It's where I kind of got the ideas for my colors and what I wanted to do because it had the music notes and the journaling is about my son loving music. And then I don't even use the paper. I just use the branding strip at the top of the 6x6 pad. But oh well, it'll work. It goes. It was still a nice starting spot. Now I'm going to go ahead and layer up a little bit behind that tag. And I have that acetate piece that I added, and I like that little bit of black. And then I'm going to cut a couple of strips of these music papers. The nice thing, when I did this kit, I realized, there's so many pieces in Maggie Holmes collections that have music attached to them, music notes or music paper, and I knew I had a couple of music layouts that I wanted to do of my boys. So I went ahead and decided that I would do a couple of those layouts. You probably will see another one. I haven't 100% decided, but I think you're going to see one more music layout from me during this specific series. And I also chose these colors because this is a layout about my boys. One of my youngest son who composes his own music himself, and he's very, very, very talented on the piano, and so I wanted to do a layout about that. And so I wanted to show how you can use, say, a Maggie Holmes collection, which has lots of white in it, or lots of pinks and florals, and the pieces you can kind of pull out and use to create a layout that is a little more masculine. And one of those things is that if you do have a music lover in your house, her collections are full of these lovely musical themes and musical notes that you can use for those types of layouts. I also pulled things like that tag with the plaid. That's from the Maggie Holmes, and the paper and die cuts are also from Maggie Holmes. So you can pull from these collections that are considered very feminine. You have the ability. There are pieces in there that you can pull together to use on a layout about your boys. So I thought that was kind of something I really wanted to do when I started this kit, was that I really wanted to do a little boy layout. And I do believe I'm going to do another one as well. So now I'm just placing my buttons and my flares, different spots. And then I start to go ahead and put my washi down because I wanted to add some more gold. And I remember that nothing is sewed down. So I'm going to turn off my camera. Or nothing is glued down. So I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to glue everything down here in just a minute. And I'm going to add black and white twine to the buttons and the tags. And there it is, all done and actually now glued down. So I can start adding my strips of washi tape. So this is the gold washi tape from the Gather collection. And another really fun thing I love to do is to take my strips of washi and tear them and add just little strips of the torn washi in different places around my layout. I love the torn edges, so you have like the formal because it's gold, and but giving it that torn edge makes it a little more grungy, and I really like that. So a word on sewing, I just got a new sewing machine and I'm still working on figuring out the tension and the stitch lengths and things for stitching on paper. So I did do a little bit of stitching on this layout. You can see it down there on that smile die cut. I actually stitched on the green piece as well, but I ended up covering that up. And I actually stitched the two pieces under my tag together, but I stitched them like too far apart. And so when I put the tag over it, it didn't peek out from the side the way I thought it would be. So you'll see more stitching in upcoming layouts from my sewing machine as I kind of get the hang of using it. I'm still running into a little bit of problems with the tension and the stitch length and kind of just figuring it out because it is a lot different from the sewing machines I've used in the past. So here I am just adding these gold tiny word stickers from the Gather collection, and while I was doing this I was a little bit worried because I felt like, oh no, I'm running out of them. Can you imagine? There's so many on this sheet. I actually considered ordering another pack, but I'm not going to because, you know, in like 2 months, she's going to come out with a whole brand new collection that will have another whole sheet of amazing word stickers. So we'll just use these up and call them done. But I just had to point out the kind of, you know, how I'm sure you have collections like that too, where you actually start to like use it and use a bunch of it, and then you're like, wait, do I want to use all these? Do I really want to use all these things? Or, you know, you feel like you should buy like 3, 4, or 5. I did that with the Go Now Go by Chamel, the puffy hearts. I have so many packs of those, and every time I use one, I'm like, maybe I should buy a whole another pack. Anyway, sorry for that little rant. So here I am just putting down these gold tiny word stickers. I'm picking ones that I really think go with my story and my layouts, and that will finish this up. My last little bit is some colorings and night moves, and I have to say this is my favorite way to splatter these days. Colorings is water-based. It cleans up really easy if you happen to splatter over the paper, but I've been loving using a pen or a bone folder to splatter. I like these little splatters, and I feel like I have a little bit more control, and I really like these kinds of splatters better. And like I said, the colorings are water-based, and they wipe right up without a problem at all. So I'm really loving that one too. So that's the Night Moves colorings, which is just a flat black. And that will complete our layout. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you again next week. Be sure to check out Christina, Felicia, and Hannah's videos. I think Megan's still moving, or she's unpacking. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!